Have you ever wondered what really happens to your body and mind when you start an affair after the age of 65? What if I told you that beyond the excitement and the thrill, there are hidden risks quietly creeping into your health? Risks that very few people talk about. Hello there, my name is Dr. Thomas Whitaker. I'm a retired geriatrician with over 40 years of experience caring for older adults in the US, the UK, Australia, and Canada. In my long career, I've seen countless seniors come into my office with stories they couldn't tell anyone else, except maybe their doctor. Let me tell you about one such story. His name was Edward. He was 72 years old, a widower for nearly a decade. Tall, silver-haired, charming, still carrying that twinkle in his eye. When Edward met Marianne, a vivacious woman in her late 60s, life suddenly seemed full of color again. They began seeing each other, quietly, discreetly. At first, Edward told me he felt alive again, a spring in his step, a renewed sense of purpose. But over the months, things began to change. He started experiencing palpitations. His blood pressure shot up. He lost weight without trying. Sleep eluded him, and he became anxious, distracted. At first, he thought it was simply the excitement. "Doc, isn't this what being in love does?" he chuckled nervously. But the blood tests told a different story. His cortisol levels were sky high, a sign of chronic stress. His blood sugar was swinging wildly. His immune system was faltering. The affair, though emotionally thrilling, had set off a cascade of physiological stress, tipping the delicate balance of his aging body. "I thought this would bring me happiness," Edward said with a tired smile. "If only I'd known." My dear friends, aging itself does not have to mean decline. Much of what we attribute to getting old, fatigue, poor sleep, foggy thinking, weakened immunity, is often the result of preventable choices. And sometimes emotional choices can carry an unexpected toll on our physical health. It's easy to look back and whisper to ourselves, "If only I had listened. Why did I ignore the signs? How could I have let this happen?" But here's the truth. It is never too late to understand your body, to care for it, to protect it from hidden dangers. Today, I want to walk with you through this delicate topic, not with judgment, but with compassion and understanding. Because your life, your health, your happiness still matter deeply. So let's begin. Now, you might be wondering, why did Edward's body start reacting this way? Isn't love supposed to be good for us no matter our age? Well, yes, but only when it's grounded in emotional safety and physical balance. You see, when an affair happens late in life, especially one that involves secrecy, guilt, or emotional turmoil, it can place tremendous stress on the body. And as we age, our bodies become less able to buffer that stress. Let's take a closer look at what's going on behind the scenes. First, the cardiovascular system. When you experience emotional excitement or anxiety, your body releases adrenaline and cortisol. In a young, resilient heart, this might not be a big deal, but in older adults, blood vessels are often stiffened, arteries narrowed. A sudden surge of adrenaline can spike blood pressure, trigger arrhythmias, and even increase the risk of heart attacks or strokes. As I often tell my patients, what you don't use, you'll lose, but what you overuse without preparation may break. Next, the brain. Constant secrecy, emotional highs and lows, and fear of being discovered can disrupt the delicate chemistry of the brain. Cortisol, the stress hormone, floods the system, impairing memory, concentration, and even mood. Ever heard someone say they feel foggy or on edge during a complicated emotional relationship? That's not in their imagination. Prolonged cortisol elevation literally damages the hippocampus, the part of the brain responsible for memory. Then there's the immune system. Chronic emotional stress suppresses immunity. Older adults already face a natural decline in immune function, called immunosenescence. Add the strain of an emotionally fraught affair, and the risk of infections, slow wound healing, and even cancer progression increases. If you neglect the body, it will neglect you. Moving on, the endocrine system. Our hormones regulate everything from energy to libido to metabolism. Late life affairs often trigger irregular sleep patterns, skipped meals, and weight fluctuations. For someone managing diabetes, thyroid issues, or osteoporosis, which are common at this age, this hormonal disruption can tip the balance from controlled to crisis. Finally, the musculoskeletal system. You might not think an affair affects your bones and muscles, but it does. Loss of sleep and chronic stress can lead to muscle wasting, balance problems, and increased risk of falls. And let's not forget, certain medications many seniors take for blood pressure or mood can interact dangerously when combined with stimulants like new sexual activity or stress hormones. Age is not an ending. It is a reminder to start caring for yourself in earnest. Now, none of this means that love, intimacy, or new connections are wrong. Far from it. They can be life-giving when approached with mindfulness and balance. But secrecy, guilt, and unmanaged stress are dangerous companions, especially after 65. Your body is wise. It remembers every sleepless night, every skipped meal, every racing heart. It will eventually ask you to pay the bill. The goal is not to reverse aging. It is to live each day fully present, fully aware, and that's why we must understand the risks, so we can make choices that honor both our hearts and our health. Now that you know what's happening inside the body, let's explore an even more complex territory, how this affects the heart and soul. Because when health begins to decline, the emotional impact can be profound, and that's what we'll talk about next. Let's return to Edward's story for a moment. As the weeks turned into months, Edward's physical symptoms worsened. But what troubled him even more was what was happening inside. At first, he brushed it off. "I'm just tired," he'd say. But soon Marianne noticed he wasn't the same. He became withdrawn, easily irritated. He stopped playing chess with his friends at the community center. He didn't want to go to his weekly book club anymore. "Doc," he finally confessed one day, sitting in my office with slumped shoulders, "I feel like I'm disappearing." This is a feeling I've heard all too often. When health declines, especially when tied to emotional stress, it's not just the body that suffers. The mind, the heart, the very sense of self begins to erode. It starts subtly. A night of poor sleep here and there, a forgotten lunch date, a growing reluctance to answer the phone or meet friends. Then it deepens. Feelings of guilt or shame over the affair, especially when secrecy weighs heavily. Anxiety about one's appearance, performance or stamina. Worry about being discovered by family or friends, and soon the person you once were feels out of reach. Have you ever looked in the mirror and wondered, who is that tired person staring back at me? Here are some of the emotional warning signs I ask my patients, and I encourage you to reflect on them as well. Loss of interest in hobbies you once loved. Avoiding social interaction because you feel embarrassed, ashamed, or too tired. Increased forgetfulness, not just where you put your keys, but missing appointments or important dates. Irritability or mood swings, especially when thinking about the affair or your health. Feelings of being a burden to loved ones. Withdrawing from intimacy. Paradoxically, even as the affair may have started with a desire for closeness, we see. Stress can lead to avoidance. Lingering sadness or hopelessness, sitting by the window for hours unsure of what to do or why you feel so empty. You are not alone if you felt this way. Edward told me there were days when he'd sit in his favorite armchair and stare out at the garden watching the leaves fall. He felt trapped, caught between the excitement of his relationship and the mounting cost to his well-being. "I used to feel young again," he whispered. "Now I just feel lost," I reminded him gently. Aging does not mean losing yourself, but ignoring the signals your body and mind are sending. That can lead to real loss. And here's something else I want you to remember. Emotional isolation worsens physical health. When you withdraw, you move less, eat less well, sleep poorly, and your body suffers. But even more than that, emotional pain activates the same brain centers as physical pain. The ache in your chest, the heaviness in your limbs, the fog in your mind, they are real, not imaginary. If you neglect your inner life, your outer life will follow suit. Perhaps you see yourself in Edward's story. Perhaps you too have sat by the window, wondering how things got this way. It's never too late to pause, to reflect, and to choose a different path, one that honors both your heart and your health. Every morning you wake is a new chance to reconnect with life, with purpose, with yourself. In the next section, I'll share with you practical, compassionate steps to help you do just that. Because no matter where you are today, it is never too late to come back to yourself. When Edward reached that breaking point, weary, confused, and burdened, he finally asked, "Doc, what should I do?" It was not an easy question, but it was the right question, because recognizing the need for change is the first step toward healing. And today, I want to offer you the same gentle guidance I gave to Edward, practical steps to help you restore balance to your body and mind. Let's begin with the basics, your foundation. Reclaim your daily rhythm. The first thing I told Edward was, when life feels out of control, start by controlling your day. Go to bed and wake up at the same time each day. Prioritize 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep. Your brain and heart depend on it. Eat 3 balanced meals, even if your appetite feels off. Small nutrient-dense meals are better than skipping entirely. If you feed your body, you nourish your resilience. 2. Move your body gently but consistently. When we are stressed or emotionally drained, it's tempting to retreat into inactivity. But remember this: motion is lotion, for your joints, your heart, and your mind. I encouraged Edward to begin with daily walks. Even 10-15 minutes outdoors can lift mood and circulation. Gentle stretching or yoga to improve flexibility and reduce tension. Light strength exercises, using body weight or resistance bands to maintain muscle. Regular movement helps regulate blood pressure, improves sleep, and clears stress hormones from your system. Cultivate emotional support. One of the hardest parts of late-life affairs is the isolation they can create. Shame and secrecy often drive people inward, cutting them off from vital support. You do not have to carry this burden alone. Edward began meeting with a therapist, a safe, neutral space where he could process guilt, fear, and conflicting emotions. You can also reach out to trusted friends, join a support group for older adults navigating relationships or emotional stress. Consider talking to a counselor who understands the complexities of aging and intimacy. Rekindle meaningful connections. Life shrinks or expands in proportion to your courage to connect. I encouraged Edward to gradually re-engage with activities he loved: chess, reading groups, volunteering. Not to fill the void, but to rediscover joy and purpose outside of the affair. For you, this might mean picking up a forgotten hobby, calling an old friend, joining a local club or class. Every new connection is a thread that weaves you back into life. Monitor your health closely. Finally, the physical side must not be ignored. If you're engaged in an affair or recovering from one, I strongly advise regular checkups with your primary care doctor, monitoring blood pressure, blood sugar, and cholesterol. Being vigilant about cardiovascular symptoms, chest pain, palpitations, unusual fatigue. Keeping an eye on sleep patterns, weight changes, and mental clarity. Your body speaks. Listen carefully. A word about intimacy. Now let's speak plainly. Intimacy can be a beautiful part of life at any age, but it must be approached mindfully after 65. Communicate openly with your partner about any medical conditions or medications that could affect sexual health. Ensure both parties are emotionally and physically ready. Understand that sexual activity in older adults, especially in high-stress situations, can strain the heart and immune system if not managed well. It's not about chasing youth. It's about embracing life safely and with dignity. Final words of encouragement. I told Edward something I want to tell you now. As long as you are breathing, you remain the author of your story. Every day, you wake is a new opportunity to care for your body, honor your emotions, and choose what serves your well-being. No age is too late to begin living a better life. Edward gradually stepped back from the affair. Not out of bitterness, but out of love for himself and for life. He returned to his friendships, his health stabilized, and in his own words, "I feel like I've come home to myself again. You can too." In our final segment, I'll offer a heartfelt message and a call to action. because your story matters and your future still holds promise. And so, my friends, Edward's journey reminds us of something profound. Health is not merely the absence of illness, it is the presence of balance, meaning, and peace within. When Edward first came to me, he was caught in a storm of emotion, guilt, and declining health. But through small, steady steps, and the courage to face what was difficult, he found his way back to himself. And you can too. If you've seen yourself in any part of this story, in the sleepless nights, the aching heart, the sense of isolation, to please know this, you are not alone, you are not broken, and it is never too late to reclaim your well-being. Every breath you take is a chance to begin again. I want you to remember a few key truths today. Your body remembers everything. Care for it with compassion. Listen when it whispers, so it won't have to shout. Your emotions matter. Guilt, shame, love, longing. They are all part of being human. But you do not have to carry them alone. Seek support. Speak your truth. Connection heals. Whether through friends, family, faith, or community, do not isolate yourself. Every heart needs companionship. Purpose sustains. Find what gives your days meaning, a project, a passion, a simple ritual of joy. As long as you are alive, you have purpose yet to fulfill. And finally, if you are contemplating an affair, or caught in one now, pause. Reflect. Ask yourself, is this nourishing my life, or draining it? Am I honoring my body, my heart, my values? If the answer is unclear, reach out. Speak to someone wise, trusted. Take care before taking further steps. A life of meaning, dignity, and well-being is worth protecting, at every age. Edward now tells me he feels lighter, not because he erased the past, but because he faced it with honesty and chose a path of integrity and self-care. And that is my wish for you. You are still a person of worth. You still deserve a life of health and happiness. Now, my friend, if this video spoke to you, if you saw a part of your own story here, I invite you to share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you faced similar struggles? What helped you find your balance again? Or are you seeking guidance now? Your voice matters, and in this space you are not alone. And if you found this message helpful, please consider liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and sharing it with others who may need to hear it. Every shared story, every word of encouragement, becomes a light for someone else. I'll leave you with this final thought. Aging is not about diminishing. It is about distilling life to what truly matters. So live with presence, with compassion, and with the quiet courage to care for yourself, body, heart, and soul. Until next time, this is Dr. Thomas Whitaker, wishing you health, peace, and joy on your journey.